Thank you all for joining for High Desert Human Design 2023. So happy to have you all here. I know some of you are, yeah, thank you. It's been, I know some of you are just arriving, some of you came earlier, and we're kind of here to see it all come together and to watch it build. And either way, I hope you're having a great time. We've been kind of, this is probably hour 72 for those of us who were here before, and I think we got everything in place. But it's actually we were actually just beginning. So this is the start of the conference, and we have a wonderful 5 days ahead. Really excited about everything we have scheduled and what's in the works. A few quick announcements. If anybody still hasn't decided what workshops to go to, you can talk to Casey Daly. You can also just kind of show up to things, and if they're at capacity, just know that if you didn't RSVP, please respect those who did. But you can also just probably find a spot. We're all pretty cozy here. A couple other announcements. Today from 1 to 5:30, James Alexander has his workshop at the Center for Human Design at 1739 Agua Fria. If you're not in his workshop, we ask people to not be there during that time, just to not disrupt those who are. He might have one space available. You'll have to ask Casey about that. That is a paid workshop. A couple other announcements. When you're parking at 1739, please park at Frenchie's Field, unless you have, unless you're not able to for some reason, which is totally fine. I know some people, have different needs. And then there's another quick announcement, which is anyone who is leaving and is willing to carpool and is willing to just kind of take a few people with them, just let one of the speakers know, or let myself know, or someone here who can make that as a quick announcement in between talks, just to help everybody get around to different places. So we're kicking this all off with a person who's very special to me, who's been here from the very beginning, one of the very early first supporters, someone who has really been there from day one and has offered, and has made an indelible impression on myself and on many others. And I don't know what to say other than when I was thinking about, I was working on the schedule, and the schedule is its own creative act. The schedule is its own medium. And when I was working on the schedule, it's almost like approaching, it's like a composer approaching an album, or it's kind of, what's the first song? What's the second song? Or like a director, what do we need to do first? And all I kept thinking, we need Brandy first. So here's Brandy Jordan, Human Design Initiation.
Let's give Jonah a round of applause. Let me say thank you to Jonah. Thank you. Thank you to Casey and Name. Thank you to all of the volunteers. Thank you to the venues that allow us to be here. Thank you for every speaker who has shown up and given their time. Thank you to you all for showing up, to give your time, to show up for yourself, to fall deeper in love, hopefully, with yourself. I got a list. Not only welcome, but this is our third year. And so in our third line year, we have seen so much expansion. We have experimented with things that we haven't brought. We've seen bonds made and broken. We have brought intimacy into these containers. And so this year, and in this retreat, what I'd invite you to do is push your own edges, is let this be a third line experience for you. Let yourself experience something bigger in your aura that you haven't allowed yet. So I just dare you. And there's that. Okay. I'm nervous. I just wanted to speak to that. What I wanted to do today is I wanted to offer you what I have collected over the past 6 years of experimenting with human design. And a lot of the stuff that I'm going to offer you, you know already. But what you may not have done is string it together in the way that I'm going to do. And the reason that I'm going to do that is because I know, based on my psychology practice, that your neurology needs to feel safe. Your brain needs to know that it's protecting you and that it has your best interest at heart. And so your brain is always going to do everything it can to continue the programs that you've already run. So I'm going to give you some new programs. And I'm just going to build in some of the details that you might not already know about some of the constituents of human design. And the reason I'm going to do that is so that your brain can rest for the next 3 or 4 days, so that your brain can take a back seat, so that your brain can stop bullying you when you hear something magnificent about yourself and you want to rise to it, but your brain says, oh, girl, don't do that. I'm going to give you some information that maybe allows your brain to rest and know that you are in the right place at the right time. I met human design. Like a lot of people do, it met me. I met human design after a debilitating lupus diagnosis. I was in a program for an assisted suicide, and I was going through the motions of leaving the earth. I went to Spain, and I studied with Dr. Joe Dispenza, and I learned some things about how to move my cerebral spinal fluid, how to be in the generous present moment, how to access more than just this biology that I thought I was. And there in Spain, on a ropes course, looking at the Mediterranean, I had an incredible mystical experience. And that experience brought my lupus markers. I had one soldier in every 250 healthy soldiers before I went. And now I had one soldier in every 5,500. So my lupus markers were gone. I had 186 allergies. I had 2 when I got home. I lost 80 pounds. I didn't have to wear glasses anymore. My hair got better. Life was good. My cognition came back slowly over time. I was able to move. And what I knew when I came home from Spain is that my best thinking got me where I was. I knew that I had tried everything I knew to be the best human I could be in this meat suit that I was given. I had 4 children, I had built business, I had houses and a husband and all the things that you're supposed to have, and yet I was dying. And so when I came home, I wasn't really a praying woman, but I prayed. And I said, look, I don't know what I'm doing here. I've thought I knew and I don't. And so I need something. Give me a tool. If there is something bigger, and I knew that there was because I had experienced it in my body, but I didn't know how to access it. And I said, if there's something bigger, please give it to me. The next day, I know the universe loves to have jokes. Some burner guy I never even met came into my inbox and insulted me and gave me my human design chart because I had apparently offended him. He was a 3-5, and I offended him somewhere. And so he wanted to come in and tell me about myself and show me my design and show me how I was being not myself. And so, full of piss and vinegar like I am, we kind of went back and forth and back and forth. And he was saying things to me that I had only said to myself. He had said things to me that I thought I had hid really well from everybody. He gave me my life back, and I went to work for the next 6 years trying to prove him wrong. You'll see my defined ego in a little bit. And so for the last 6 years, I have collected information, and I have been called out by my community over and over again to give this information because it seems to make an impact. This isn't something I decided to do. This isn't something I wanted to do. I've just been called over and over and dragged sometimes into this. And so what I want to offer you today is just my collection of wisdom that I have used to help my brain stop bullying me, so that I can listen to the wisdom of my body and arrive in the places and spaces and relationships that are for it. So we all know human design is a combination of a few constituents. I like to add DNA mapping and biochemistry. All modalities are included here. Oh, excuse me. Don't tell me what to do. So, just so we know, all of these constituents are what come together to give us our mythology, our story. Each of us are born with an encoding, a DNA encoding that tells us the story of our life and the archetypes and the characters that are going to play in that story. these constituents show us that you are not choosing this, that this has chosen you and you are experiencing it. So what I hope to do today is really drive home Ra's point of no choice, but I want to add that your only choice is perception. So I want to invite you this week to perceive things in different ways than you have before. Understand that it's no choice, and that's not a gloomy sentence. That's actually freedom, because then you get to choose what love sees. You get to choose to put your eyes on what you want. That's your only choice. So, as a wisdom keeper, I understand the importance of symbology. And so these visuals here are just symbology. These are encoded. So this information that your eyes are looking at, you are pulling information into your body right now to see the correlations between the two. This is current science. This is our current DNA mapping completed in 2010. This is the astrology. This is the astrology natal map. They are both saying the same thing. If you look at these codes, if you look at just the maps themselves, you can see the similarities. I want you to also see that our DNA is organized in 64 groups of 6. And as we all know, the universal energies are organized in 64 groups of 6. All I want you to do here is see that it's all the same. They're all saying the same thing. Astrology has postulated for centuries that the placement of the stars is what determines our personal story. If you've never seen your natal map before, if you imagine that this is where you were when you were born, or 80 this map is associated with the binary code. That's not important. I'm not going to go into it. It's on my list, but I'm not going into it now. Now you see splenic in action. Now we're going to go to the current science. Oh, I'm going really fast. Okay. I'm going to go back. Here we go. Okay. So the Chinese I Ching talks about the symphony of the cosmos. The I Ching labels in logic order the song of creation. Every song starts with two things. There is the creator and the music, and then they come together and create a symphony. And this is that. This represents the yin and the yang of everything. This represents how anything can be expressed. Everything in the universe is encoded with one of 64 frequencies, one or many of 64 frequencies. And each of these 64 frequencies is expressed in 6 different ways. We understand this. What I want you to see is the yin and the yang. What I want to bring home here is that everything is a yin and a yang. And if we bring your charts, your binaries, your centers, your gates, your lines down to the this and the that of that, the yin and the yang of it, you can really see your expression at work. So this is what I want to bring home here, is that there's a lot of gates, there's a lot of numbers, there's a lot of things that can confuse you. But what I want to bring home is there is a yin and a yang, a this and a that, a binary of everything. And this binary isn't something that you should stay on one side or the other, because then you're missing the whole point of the song. The binary, every single activation in your DNA, whether it sings in the not self or in the self signature, is exactly the way your song is designed to be sung. And so I'd like you, when you can put your mind on the binary, you can see this is my design, and this is the yin of my design, and this is the yang of my design. You can allow yourself to move through the places and spaces much easier. A lot of energy in this room. I have a completely open sacral center. So I just wanted to say and show how 64 is a fundamental in everything that is created. Anything that is sentient is created with one or many of these 64 frequencies. And I want to show you how it's the basis of everything. 64 codons in the human DNA, 64 hexagrams in the I Ching. 64 is the number of sexual positions in the Kama Sutra. 64 is the number of classical arts listed in the Indian scriptures. 64 tantras in the Book of Tantrism. 64 strokes in Chinese characters. 64 cells is how many it takes before it individuates. That one was a big one for me. 64, it divides, and then it gets its imprinting after it divides into 64. 64 is fundamental in computer memory bits and coding. 64 things are needed to approach the Ark of the Covenant. 64 is encoded in the description of the Tetragrammaton, which is Yahweh, means God in Hebrew. 64 is the number of generations from Adam to Jesus. 64 forms of manifestation of the Lord Shiva. 64 squares on your chessboard. 64 is the smallest number by 7. The Beatles, after he went and hung out with Paramahansa Yogananda, he wrote a song called When I'm 64. Okay. So Ra knew of neutrino streams. Ra knew before it was proven that the neutrino existed, and this is what he spoke about a lot. Since he has died, the neutrino stream has been substantiated. They're still kind of saying that there's no energy transfer, but I think when they get a little bit deeper, they'll see that there is an energy transfer. So why is this important? Why the neutrino stream is important is because you get, oh, I had this so perfectly before. Why the neutrino stream is important. The breath of God, you know that our universe is expanding, right? You've seen this in everywhere. Our universe is expanding like a balloon. That expansion, there's energy moving through the cosmos that is causing that expansion. When that energy moves through cosmic bodies, that energy we're going to call neutrinos. When those neutrinos move through the cosmic bodies, they pick up a slight little charge, and then they continue to move through all the cosmic bodies, including ourselves. That charge then activates or has a frequency change in our body that then dictates either our experience, if we allow it, or our DNA expression. And why that's important. Who here has heard Ra talk about the Global Orchestration Directory? Oh, okay. So what he talks about is God. He says the Global Orchestration Directory, or the gods, is the energy we receive from all of the planetary bodies that are around us. So the moment that you were born, and 88 days before you were born, the neutrino stream. So there was electricity from every single one of these things that came and passed through your body that then activated your DNA with whatever 26 of the 64 activations that you have. Does this make sense to you? And then, depending on what planet it came from or what celestial body it came from, determines what storyline, what role that plays in your life, in your design. So on Friday, we're going to go a little deeper into this. And we're going to go into your moon and your Saturn and your Mars placements. And we're going to talk about the area of life that archetype covers. And so these are all of the archetypes in your story. If I imagine this is the story of Brandy Jordan, the story of Brandy Jordan was written by God, or the Global Orchestration Directory. And I am not here to use my mind to decide that what the gods gave me isn't what I want. What I'm here is to be the God inside of this biology and watch it happen and perceive. I don't care if you perceive hate or love. I'm not here to judge all of that because it's all perfect. But your perception is your choice. I want to invite you to understand that there is an entire geometrical cosmic order at play, and that you could never fuck it up. That you can't get this wrong. That you are part of a greater plan in which the engineer of that greater plan would never have made one of its constituents to fuck any of it up. I just want to keep rolling that home because some of the reason we don't follow our bodies is because our mind thinks we're going to fuck it up. You just couldn't. It's not possible. I want you to know that your body knows the places and spaces that are for you. And these are the gods that have sent you that information. What else do I want to say about that? Any questions yet? Yeah. Okay, so what Name asked is when I am talking about these, am I talking about Godheads as well? So yes, these Godheads are the quarters of the wheel. They tell a story. This is just an easier way to understand the story of what's happening in this arc of time. So in this arc of time, everyone that is born with these as archetypes will then display that archetype with compassion or the archetype of Jesus or whatever those archetypes are. These are the overall stories or the purpose or the essence or the moral, right, of the story. Did that answer your question? Yeah. Mm-hmm. What term did I use? Okay. Oh, the Global Orchestration Directory. I thought that this was really great because, I studied theosophy when I was younger, and I understood that, God was within, but I knew he wasn't not me. I knew that was me too. And so when I heard this and I saw that God is just the neutrino stream, that the creator, that I am in co-creation with that neutrino stream based on perception. When I saw that, I felt that thing that I had went to 7 different churches looking to feel. And that's why I think it's important to know that God is just I want to say a cosmic orchestration directory, right? So again, the moment we were born, the neutrinos activate our DNA with 26 of the 64 available frequencies. So it's not that we don't have all 64 of these frequencies. So when you go into your classes this week and you say, I don't have something, it's not that you don't have something. We all have 64 frequencies, these frequencies available to us all the time. But what is consistently turned on? If we can imagine you have 64 light switches and the gods turned on 26 of them, those are the ones that are always on. The rest of them you can experience as fluctuations. So your experience, the arc of your life, the relationships, the guilt, the shame, the everything, the joy, everything that you carry with you is written in and from the stars. Everything. Your perception is your only choice. Keep going back to that. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the red and the black. The reason I think this is important is because we spend a lot of time identifying with, oh yeah, that is me, that is me. And at the first, we feel real good that we're seen. And we're like, oh yeah, that's me, that's me. But what I want to invite you into is to remember that this is the purpose of you. This is how it gets expressed. The red is why your energy came into your meat suit in the first place. The black is how it's getting the job done. I sometimes like to tell the story of the husband and the wife. Because again, I like to go back to the binary, the yin and the yang, because when we can remember that, it's going to help your entire experiment. This is the husband, and this is the wife. And I don't mean this in gender roles, but I mean it in very essence, yin and yang. The husband is providing and protecting, using himself to do what he does, looking around, being active, doing his thing. The wife is hopefully taking care of home. The wife is hopefully, just quietly telling her husband what she thinks. This is our body's wisdom. This is our authority. Our authority is not going to impose herself. Our authority, she knows. She knows exactly the places and spaces to go. And she knows you can't fuck it up. So she's not going to make you do anything. There's a divine marriage here in this logic information that needs to be had. Because right now, if we look out in the world around us and we look at typical relatings, we see sometimes the masculine in the relationship being the one that is trying to lead the charge. And we all know that's making us unhealthy, right? What we are doing in this room and at this conference is teaching our body to follow her. We are teaching our body to follow the voice of our soul and then let him show up when we get there and give all he's got. That's the way to do it. Follow her, then let him show up, not the other way around. Does this make sense? Is there any questions on that? Okay. I'm sure you've been wondering what my chart looks like. There it is. I just wanted to orient some people if they didn't know some of this language or jargon. These are your variables. This is conscious personality, unconscious body or design. These are a gate. This is a line. This is the planetary abbreviation. And then this is the glyph for that abbreviation. Undefined centers. Dormant gate. Conscious channel. Unconscious channel. Those are just some of the jargon so that you know what's what. This is the information I love to share, because when your mind gets this information, you know, your brain is in charge of taking care of you, and your brain was programmed in the first 7 years to take care of you. And you continue to run those programs. Me as a 44-year-old continue to run my programs that I put in there from 0 to 7. And when I run those programs, I am unable to continue to evolve. And so this is a new program I want to give you. One of the programs that I received is an aura is woo-woo, and that my body needs pharmacology from the outside in order to make it healthy on the inside. These are some of the programs I received. But what I've learned from human design, and I want to share with you, and I want to share with your brain, because again, when your brain knows that this is going to make you more healthy, your brain will do this and will help you follow your body's wisdom. So an aura is just a collection of your electromagnetic fields coming and going from your body. You've got an EKG and EEG, and you've got all of these electromagnetic fields coming and going. That's what an aura is. Did you know that in fetal development, that your heart forms and starts beating before your brain does? I believe that's magnetic monopole in the design. It happens before the personality comes. Your heart knows the direction before your mind is even engaged. Positive emotions create physiological benefits. Following your strategy and authority, you will find yourself in the places that you need to be. You will find yourself choosing the food that is good for you. You will find yourself perceiving and being motivated in the ways that you are supposed to be per your biology. And this will upregulate, it's called the science of epigenetics. It'll upregulate positive physiological effects. The mother's brain waves, Rod talks about this. The mother's brain waves in utero do affect your development and affect it affects the way your brain is developed in the womb. Negative emotions create nervous system chaos, mental choices. This is when your nervous system is dysregulated. Positive emotions increase the brain's ability to follow your body's wisdom, and you can boost your immune system by becoming the passenger. This is what I noticed, is when I had my surrender experience, what I learned was that when I watched myself move into the places and spaces that are for me, I got healthy. I keep saying this over and over again because I want your brain to hear it. I want your brain to understand that if there is any ailment that you're dealing with, that following your strategy and authority is going to bring attention to what needs to be done to heal that in your body. And when our bodies are healed, then we can follow our bodies better. So this is this whole loop that's happening. So we understand that when we come into a space that our auras are playing with each other, right? Just making sure everybody knows that. We all understand this. I'm going to tell a little story about, let's just say that we are in an apocalypse, that we are the only ones left in the room, and we need to get out. What is each type going to do? What's our role? Why are we here? What do we do when we come together? The manifestor in the group, or the manifestors in the group, I'm going to punch a hole in the wall. I'm going to knock this piano just right fucking through the wall. That's probably what I'm going to do. There might be another manifestor in here that says, that's not a good idea. I'm going to go another way. Who's coming? Monies. Our strategy is to inform before taking action. So if I am just going to go push that piano through the wall and I'm not going to say, hey guys, I got an idea. Watch me go. And I'm going to push the piano through the wall. When I say, hey guys, I got an idea, I'm going to push the piano through the wall, there's going to be a few of you that's going to say, that's a fucking great idea. Let's push the piano through the wall. And then I'm going to have some help. But if I don't inform, I'm just going to be pushing this piano through the wall, and somebody's going to look at me sideways and say, what's this Bruce doing? Why isn't she helping out the rest of us? Or, there's going to be all kinds of resistance around my movement if I don't just let people know, hey, I got something. The generator, the manifestor. Okay, so I punched the hole in the wall. The hole is there, and the projectors and the generators and the reflectors are all like, oh shit, no. Understand it, or you have this response to come and help me move the piano or whatever it is, but you are not going to generally be the one that's going to push the piano through the thing. This is not your design. You are here to respond. You will respond to the manifestor with energy in your body or not, using your body as a guidance system in responding to direct questions. The strategy to wait for life to move through you and respond to the energy of your body before taking action. You bring the energy, the power, the reliability, the consistency, the stable life force. The projector. So the projector, the way I usually like to tell a story is I push the piano through, and before I went and take a nap, because that's all the energy I have, I was at a party last week, and I recognized this projector that Ray put together a really great bonfire last week. And I recognized that he was probably the best one to manage this whole group. And I said, hey, do you think that this feels like something? And we have this conversation, and I recognize him for the wonderful parties that he throws and the ability to engineer people and things and places. And he feels recognized, and it's correct in his body to help engineer this plan. Ray is not going to be doing the work. Ray is going to be standing there with his clipboard, his engineering plan, sharing with us all how we're going to do things. And that's how the projector is going to be there, waiting for the invitation and recognition before getting involved. I mean, Ray probably already knew that the piano through the wall wasn't the best idea, but he didn't say anything. Good at guiding and directing energy, insightful, wise, and often have a natural talent for understanding and managing others. Find success when they focus on the right invitations. So then the projector and generators, the manifestor, Moni's left. She took some reflectors and left out the back. I'm sleeping on the other side, hanging out with my whoever came with me. And the projectors and the generators that are left, Ray is like, that's a big old hole. We've got elders here. We need stairs. Those stairs need to be painted. We need to have a band on the other side to invite people over. We need to have a banner that says, welcome to the new world. So the projector is developing this plan of making it energetically aligned and flowing for the rest of us. And is able to, again, with recognition, guide the life force of the generator. So the projector, what I've seen and projectors, I mean, I'm not claiming to know what any other type is like, but what I've seen in my experience is that this projector generator relationship is one of the most precious things in the entire world. This projector being able to feel the energy of the generator and being able to, with an open and compassionate heart, generally, this is what world I want to create, with an open and compassionate heart, is able to feel the proper use of the generator's ahs and ahs, of the generator's energy, of asking questions. And when I have seen I've seen Casey do it with generators, and the energy that gets brought up in a generator's body when asked the appropriate questions is going to have this whole thing built lickety split. It's the most beautiful thing to see, to be recognized and to recognize. And so in this story, the generators and projectors have built the stairs. The projector knew that the generator over there was the best mortar builder and invited and recognized. And so there's some bricks being laid. The projector identified the greatest artist to do the banner to welcome us to the new world. And so that's happening. And the generators are building. The generators are building step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6, step 7, step 8, step 9, step 10. Step 1, step 2, step 3. This is the way a generator's energy, sustainable, right? Every step continuing to do the steps over and over again. Manifesting generators come in and they want to bite their ears off. And they come in and this 1 step and then 2 step and then 3 step and then 4 step. They're like, fuck this, 8 step. And then they realize, that they should have done some of the other steps. But what happens is at the end of that process, if it's correct, they generally will take a 10-step process to a 6-step process. And this is evolution. This is how we move forward and become more efficient. So this is what I've seen as this manifesting generator role. And then, everything is beautiful. I've awoken from my nap. Monique came by to share us her place that she found along the way. There's music playing. It's wonderful. And then Dreama comes in. Dreama's our reflector. And when Dreama comes in, if she comes and she hugs people and she's happy and she's drinking her tea and she's eating food and she's doing a little dance, she's having a great time, we know we did well. We know the reflection of our reflectors, the mirror of our reflectors, is the reflection of our correctness. Our correctness. Not whether or not we're right or wrong. That's not what I mean by correctness. So even if it looks like a Eden and it's not correct, the reflector won't be happy. That's what I've seen. So waiting a full lunar cycle before making decisions, watch and experience the energy of what is taking place before making the choice about how they feel. Highly sensitive, often wise observers, and offer unique insights to our communities. We have, I think, 6 reflectors here today. Yeah? 6. Okay. So I want to, again, I'm big on yin and yang because when we can understand it that way, it makes everything easier. The undefined centers are receptive, open, flexible, inconsistent, not structured, freely transparent, learning from others' perceptions. These open centers are where we become wise. These open centers can understand all 6 flavors of 64, 61, 63. They can experience them. They can become wise about them. But if you have an open head center and you are trying to make sense of things and bring truth and understanding, you're missing the whole point of your beautiful open head center. Your open centers are here to experience. Imagine your open centers as feminine, here to receive and open and experience and become wise about every single little yang that could be experienced. Your defined centers are yang, consistent, focused, genetically imprinted patterns, specialized, limited and restricted to its process. So I have 64 and 63. I don't have 61. It's not that I can't experience 61, but I can only process through 63 and 64. I can only process information through the way that my defined center is defined to do it. But in an open center, I can process any kind of way. And I can have the experience of that archetype in my life, and I can become wise about it, but not when I close down and think that I need to figure things out because my mom told me I need to be sure of things. Or somebody asked me, how do I know that? Ah. For sometimes an open head center, if you want to be liked or loved or appreciated by that person that's asking you that question, you're going to make some shit up. You don't have to do that. Passive, recognition, judgment, doing, active being. Just giving you words to build your lexicon so that when you're looking at your design and you're in all of these classes and you say, or you hear somebody say, I don't have that. It's not true. It's how does that thing that you have express itself? Is it receiving or is it? We understand, most of us, I'm sure here, understand the details behind each center, that the roof is life force, adrenal pressure, stress, achievement, food, sex, territory. The sacral is sexuality, life force, reproduction, creativity, emotions, feelings, rational and spiritual awareness, willpower, desire, motivations, values. The throat is communication, expressions, actions. The ajna, concepts, beliefs. These are the centers, the storylines in which these archetypes play out. So I keep calling them archetypes, but if you remember 64, 61, and 63, so these archetypes of 64 are not here to worry about food, sex, and territory. They are here to, if it's defined, have ideas, inspirations, questions, mental pressure. If it's undefined, to experience the questions, the mental pressure, the inspiration of the people around them. I changed up some of these just because I figured everybody had already seen all the other ones. So I changed them up just a little bit. These are the not self centers. So in the head, you are here to know what questions should be asked. You are here to be wise about the questions that need to be asked. The Open Ajna Center, you are here to know whose concepts are viable. Concepts are beautiful. Concepts are theories, but what's viable? The throat, you're here to be a synthesizer of what needs to be said. But when you're so busy trying to figure out what you're going to say, you just miss it. You miss the superpower that you have of synthesizing the frequency of the space to be exactly what needs to be said, if it's correct for you to say it. These are superpowers. These open centers are where you have your Jedi training. The Open G Center, you're here to experience and be the wise knower of all love and direction. You know, you are here to experience my love of self and feel and be directed by, to have the experience of the love and direction of self that is around you and be incredibly wise about that. Oh, goodness. You're here to experience nothing. Open egos, you are here to experience being worthy just because you exist. You are powerful. Just because you exist, you are supposed to be here. You are here to be the knowers and the teacher of that. I'm here with my defined ego to prove that I'm supposed to fucking be here. I got something to prove. You are here and you exist and you have nothing to prove by existing here. Your existence mirrors whether or not what I'm proving is correct or not. I can feel myself through an open ego, and either it's beautifully wise and guiding me or it's fighting me. But you are here to know worth and will. And what's worth fighting for? The solar plexus, you're here to be wise about the emotional energy, the awareness of the emotional and spiritual energy of the world, not to be hijacked by it. You're here to be wise in the root center about the pace of life that is needed for survival. The pace of life that is needed for survival. In the sacral, you're here to allow the dynamic flow of life to move through you and to be wise about life force energy. And in the spleen, to know what's good for the world around you and yourself, to be able to feel the frequency of fear and not get hijacked by it, but to know the flavor of it. Oh, yeah, perfect. So I wanted to end with I wanted to end with Raw. I wanted to bring him in as our initiator and just have you guys hear a little bit about what he thinks about no choice. And I thought that we could end here, and that would be beautiful. Jonah, can you help me with volume? Mm. Sorry, guys. Can you hear it?
From the day that I started to share this knowledge with other people, I started from the basis of no choice. And the longer I teach, and the deeper that I expand the base of this knowledge, the more reinforcement there is for the truth of what life is. It is a choiceless process. It is choiceless. It is choiceless in how we come in. It is choiceless in how we move through this life. It is choiceless in the way that we go out. There is no choice in all of that. And one of the things to grasp from all of that is to see that the only way that you can truly enjoy this process is not to be tormented by all of these aspects. Not to suffer through all of this stuff. What it is to come into life, what it is to be in life, what it is to let go of life, all of this stuff. You know, and the moment that you can live this out as yourself, these things truly do not matter. And you begin to have access to the most beautiful thing about life itself. That it's a gift, and it's an entertaining gift. It is. You know, this is the one thing to grasp about the nature of life. We're not here to suffer. We're not. I know that. I know that it is abnormal to suffer. That we are not designed to be here ignorant and suffering. That we are designed to transcend our ignorance and to transcend suffering as a personal phenomenon. I mean, we are designed for that. Every generator I ever meet, you know, is somebody that can be more awake than Buddha in a moment. In a moment. In a moment. It is what it's about. You know, as long as we're correct, then we get to live the beauty of our lives. And you get to live your mythology. And that's the only reason we're here. We're not here for any other reason. There is no other purpose to fulfill. It's not about having a job and kitties. You know, that's not what it's about. That's just how it's played out in this movie. You know, this is the way life works in this movie. But it's not what it's about to be here. It's not. We're not here to be lost in this. You know, these crosses are not there for us to be crucified on. They're not. They just allow us to hold on and roll like hell. You know? Just go with the wheel. You know, when I first was introduced to esoterics, when I first arrived on this island, somebody showed me a tarot deck and asked me to pull a card, and I pulled the wheel. Now, there's this incredible wheel. You know, that's what it's like. You know, you're on the wheel and you're rolling. You know, no brakes. No sense of where you're going. No idea. And I have a dear generator friend of mine who says, you know, the greatest joy of all is that I have absolutely no idea what's happening. And I never felt so good. And that's about as good a description as being awake as any I've ever heard. You know, and it's not about being this or that, irresponsible, not, you know, all the bullshit that people load onto that because they don't understand what I'm saying. You know, you're going to live out your design. You know, if you're designed to be responsible, you'll be responsible. But it's your design that's doing that. You know, it's not the witness. It's not the witness. The witness is just there to experience what it's like to be in a vehicle that thinks it's responsible. Nothing else. Nothing else. And you see, until we get to that point, none of this is very helpful.
One of my my favorite things from Ra is that he gives you all of this information and he says, until you're able to follow your body, none of it fucking matters. None of it. So I'm going to end here and I'm going to invite you to anytime you see a tree over these next few days, remember that that tree has never held a sign that said we'll work for food. Remember that that tree has never opened a 401k or filled out a job application or worried about 10xing its business next month. It's just been a tree. And because it bees a tree, it gets the sun and the earth and the nutrients and the minerals. It gets us to love it and hug it. It gets birds to come and live with it. It gets everything it needs because it bees its design. We have legs that can move in a prefrontal cortex and an amygdala, but we are a tree and we get to learn to just be. And everything that is for us already exists and is waiting for us to get into energetic alignment with it, and it will show itself. Your only work here is to let your body lead you. So thanks for being here. And thanks.
All right. Thank you, Brandy. That was wonderful. Really enjoyed that, and just a perfect kickoff for the festivities in the event. We will take about a 15-minute break, and then we have Michael Steenbeck-Litvin on tonal architecture. Also, I have raffle tickets for sale. These raffle tickets, you're going to want to get them. They're $10 each, and I should have had Brandy announce this. There's no chance, you know. Would you announce it? Okay.
Hey, everybody, I got one more thing. We've got raffle tickets for sale. Who wants raffle tickets? I do. Oh, what are the gifts? What are the gifts? I don't know.
We have so much. I mean, if you've been over at the Center for Human Design, yeah.
So many gifts. Buy some raffle tickets. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Is anybody going to Adrienne Roach's talk after this? Adrienne Roach business? No.
Hay una